Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 249. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
And I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is Sunday, April 19th, 2015. And it's been so beautiful here the past few days. Oh gosh. It's been like high 60s, low 70s, lots of wind, and oh, it's been beautiful.
It's been rainy here, but it's supposed to be nice tomorrow, which is good because I need to mow my lawn.
Yeah, I have a teenager across the street who's always looking to earn money, so.
I just bought a lawnmower, so I have to, if I pay someone else to do it, then I'm like, why did I just spend $300 on a lawnmower?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I need to exercise. It's always good. Okay, so this is a knitting show. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Why don't you go ahead and go, because I'm not anywhere at a good stopping point.
I have 4 things on the needles right now. Whew, I didn't realize it was that many.
Well, you finished your owl, and now you're like, I need lots of things on the needles.
Well, some of them are old and some of them are new. Yeah, well, 3 of them are kind of new. So the first thing is the Quilting beanie. I've done around 2 rows as I was sitting here working on show notes. So it counts though. There were stitches done on it. It's supposed to be 11 inches tall, but I have that much left. So I'm gonna measure it. I think sock head is like 9 inches tall, and
I think it's 9 inches after the ribbing.
Okay. Before you do the
Decreases, yeah.
Decreases, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. 11 seems awfully slouchy.
If that includes the ribbing, it would be slouchy, but I don't know about super, because there's 4 inches of ribbing on sock head.
Yeah, this is only I don't know. I'm gonna go till it's I fold up the ribbing, it's 7 inches. That's what I'm going to do, which is probably 11 inches. I'm so glad I did all that math in my
These
head.
clever pattern writers.
Oh, Lord. And this is a kit from Quilting. And so and then it gets a gray pom-pom at the top. I'm just trucking away when we record. But now it's not cold here anymore. It's 80s every day, so I'm kind of
not as motivated.
The whole winter hat thing. Although that's Steelers colors, and there's so much excitement because camp will start soon. But anyway, the second thing on my needles, I cast on 2 new projects. One on Thursday, one today. The first one that was the one that was cast on today. It's so wee. Look at how wee it is.
Oh, that's when the rows just fly by.
They're not flying by. This is because it's citron and you double.
Yeah.
Throughout it, so it's got this. I've done one where you double every stitch except for the 3 on each end, and then you decrease them back down, and it makes this cool, ruffly. What's that called when you do that? There's an actual word for it, but it's fun. It's like a mini ruffle.
It's like a ruching, right?
Yes, ruching. There you go. That's the correct word. And I am knitting that out of some Into the World that I spun when I was at Leslie's house for a month a couple summers ago.
What's the color?
Abercrombie.
Okay.
It was out of it is a merino silk, and I spun it. It was when I had just gotten the lace flyer for the mini spinner, and I spun out of 4 ounces 800 yards, and it's pretty much a lace weight 2-ply. This is what I'm hoping to kind of replicate for my owl next term. So it took me around a month to spin.
Yeah, I was going to say, I pretty much remember you complaining about how long it took.
So, this is going to be a citron, and that was always the intent for it. I already said Into the World, merino silk, hand spun, and instead of it's supposed to be knit on size 6 needles, it's a free pattern from Knitty.com. And then she sells one that's got larger sizes. I am just knitting it on size 4s because I liked the fabric on the 4s. I thought the 6, and it'll get blocked too. It is like a half circle shawlette. It's real tiny. I've knit one before, and it's only that wide, and it's really a kerchief.
Well, the pattern calls for you to use basically 400 yards of fingering weight, so that's not going to get you a huge shawl. But since you're using,
yeah.
Oh, is it a lace weight? Okay.
It's Malabrigo lace was what the original
Okay.
was.
All right. Yeah. So that's 400 yards of lace.
double that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get a little bit bigger. It won't be huge. It'll still be like a small chalet. I'm not certain it's going to stay with me. I haven't decided yet. I'm kind of torn on it. Um, because when I spun this, I was like, this is the best spinning I've ever done. And then now that it's been 2 years, I'm like, meh. So, which is terrible.
It's not
But
terrible.
like Jasmine of the TheKnitMore says, like you have to knit up your handspun when you spin it because then you grow as, and it's not that it's terrible stuff. It's just you grow as a spinner and
Yeah.
skills change, and then you look back at it and you're like, okay. So I don't know if I'm keeping it or not. It might make a nice present for someone. I hate to like get rid of it because it was like my pinnacle of spinning at the time. Like it was my
Yeah.
holy grail of spinning at that point. Because 800 yards from 4 ounces, that's like
I've never gotten that, so.
so. But it also was like a month. So
Well, you don't have to decide right now, so.
no, I don't. It's still in the little. It's obviously in the very wee stages. You can see. So I like that density with the size 4 needles. And it is in my Bags by Awesome Granny bag. So it reminds me of spring. It's so bright and cheerful. So that's the first thing that I cast on this week. The second thing that I cast, and that was cast on today, I cast on the clincher, which my sister was knitting at SSK last year,
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh, I really like that."
Apparently, she'd had it on the needles for a while.
Yes, and she knitted on straight needles because
Mm-hmm.
my sister knits on straight needles, which I think is hilarious. Because she always uses Brittany straights, which is so funny to me.
Different strokes.
Oh, I know. I probably have some Brittany straights that she can have around here somewhere. So this is the clincher. I cast it on Thursday, and it starts. It's kind of the same construction as like one of the stretchers, like the Quaker yarn stretcher or hitchhiker. So
Yeah.
you start at with very few stitches, and then it boomerangs out, and then it gets larger. You're increasing 1 stitch per every 4 rows.
Yeah.
So it's a gradual. And when you hit 102 total stitches, then you do an applied edging, which is I-cord. And I'm using this for an applied edging class, like as a model.
Oh, cool.
And that was the whole purpose of it. Besides the fact that it's really cool and this yarn is awesome, and I had no idea what I would do with this yarn. I'm putting the name of the colorway in the show notes. It's explicit, so I'm not going to say it.
It's a bad word.
That's what explicit means, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, it does. I'm not correcting you.
But I've gotten a lot done. It's so huge.
You did.
I'm at 85 stitches.
So you're getting there.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I only have, so every 2 rows is using a gram. So I have around 30 grams left. Not that I've been obsessively weighing at all.
No, not you.
My scale,
You're not the
no.
kind of person to do that.
Not that I'm sitting or standing at my counter where my big postal scale is and putting this on and knitting a row and then reweighing it and then knitting another row and reweighing it just to see how many grams.
That would just be crazy.
Anyway, so that is that. It is almost done. It's a really cool pattern. I'm super excited for it. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. And then socks. So a couple weeks ago when we were testing, I had finished my a pair of socks and I needed a new pair of socks. And this was prior to Leslie's wedding, and I forgot to show them last week. And I hate it. I was using some Knitter's Pride Nova needles, and the join on them, and I've never had a problem with any of my other joins of their needles, but it was catching, and so I decided to switch over to some carbons, and that actually made me work on this. So this is like my purse project. It's Inspiration Dye Works. I don't think she does stripies anymore. The last striping I did from her, this is how old this is. Again, back to Leslie's, when I spent that month at Leslie's.
It's all about me.
It is all about you. And my car broke down, and I had to sit and wait for a day for it to get repaired at the tow shop. I knit a whole pair of socks by their other colorway, which was like Caution. It was a super cool colorway, but then I got like sick every time I looked at them, so I gave them to Mom for Mother's Day because it made me like so. That whole like stress of my car breaking down and not knowing where it was towed and
Yeah.
that whole stress. No, even now, like it's stressing me out. It's in the past. I need like some Prozac. Um, or
Prozac's old school. You need to up it to Xanax or something.
yeah. So they come in this cute little ball that she had hand wound. She is from, I think, Michigan. She might still be. I think she's still in business. I think she just doesn't. I'll have to double check and add it to the show notes after I'm done talking. But that is it for me on the needles. Yep. I did finish another baby hat, and I posted it on Instagram, and I'll post it in a project page. But I already gave it away. So that's it for me this week for knitting.
Cool.
What do you got going on?
Not much knitting wise.
Okay.
I am working on a pair of socks out of. Well, first, let me show you the pattern. It is called Spring Showers. It's sort of a floral swirl motif.
Yeah.
This is by Christy something.
Turtle Pearl 76?
Yeah, Turtle Girl 76, I think is her, or Turtle Pearl 76. I don't know. I've linked it in the show notes on Ravelry, and I'm knitting it out of.
I'm gonna go check now because I'm curious.
I think it's Turtle Girl 76, but I could be wrong. I'm often wrong. I'm knitting it out of skein yarn.
Yep.
In her
Christine is her name.
in the top draw base, which is a merino nylon blend in the fig colorway. This is what it looks like in the cake.
Oh, that pattern's free for this month only.
Oh, cool. Well, that's great.
I totally just bought it as you're showing it off. Thanks, Leslie.
Woohoo! It's living in one of the bags Seashore Sharon made for me last year, and it is. The first sock is finished.
Oh, look at that.
I'm going to turn it to the side so you can actually see the pattern, because the patterning on this is along the top of the foot, so it's a little bit harder to see.
You should find one of your fake feet. Are they far away?
They're way over there, yeah. So it's got a different pattern on the front versus the back, which is cool. So this is what it looks like on the front with the sort of gentle leaves.
I like that.
And then this is called the parasol chart on the back, and
Yeah.
it's got like garter stitch, looks like an umbrella almost.
I love that.
Well, I guess a parasol is sort of an umbrella.
It is.
The more you know. So, and it's got a ribbing that I haven't done before with
Oh, it's a garter rib.
it's like a broken rib or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. I finished the first one.
And the pattern's free.
Yeah.
Through April 30th, 2015. Hopefully
Yes.
you're watching this as soon as it comes out and not in the future.
Because you're not a real TheKnitGirlls fan unless you watch it the instant it comes out.
That's
Even when it's not distributing to iTunes correctly. Sorry, I'm working on it. It's a podcast garden thing. I don't know. Their customer service
Garden fail.
is non-existent, so I'm working on it. Anyway, that's the first one, and I'm working on the second one. I just started it today, so I'm just about halfway through the second chart. I'm knitting it on size 1.5. No, it says 2.25 millimeters, so size 1s
One.
needles.
I should just sell all my 1.5s because I never use them anymore. I really should.
My only complaint about the pattern is just that it's got 3 separate charts. One
Okay.
for the top of the foot,
Huh?
and then on the cuff, the pattern on the front is different from the pattern on the back. The pattern on the front is very similar to the pattern on the top of the foot, but it's got a little bit of differences, and all those patterns are on separate pages. So you have to flip back and forth.
Oh.
So I'm just going to cover half of it. Basically, I just cut them out
Yeah.
and use packing tape because I'm super fancy, and put
Oh,
tape
that
over the
works.
front and the back, and it keeps it.
A tech way of doing that would be to screenshot both of them and then use one of those apps where you can
Yeah,
take
but
two pictures and put them together.
I don't like to rely on my devices for patterns because I have this
I
like
anymore.
I have this thing where an unnatural fear of my phone dying on me and me not having access to a phone, and I'm in a critical situation where I've been kidnapped, and like access to a phone is the difference between life and death. And so I try not to use my phone for the pattern, except like you know, if I leave
I
my
use mine
physical
iPad.
copy at home. Yeah, I almost usually the things that I knit don't require looking at the pattern for every row. Usually it's do this until you get to this point or whatever. But this is a commission. Well, it's a trade. It's a barter for long arm services, and I got
Yeah.
that quilt back, which I'll show you guys in a little while. Um,
So
and it,
you better hustle and flow,
yeah.
my.
So anyway, that's all the knitting that I've done.
Are we gonna get to meet the long arm quilter lady? Is she coming into Maryland at all, or is she gonna be at Estes?
I
Where's she
don't.
from?
Well, she's not really a knitter. She does quilting, so I don't know that there's much draw for her
Probably not.
at those
Either
places.
of those places. No,
She's
not
in New
the
York though, so I don't know.
fun.
And I'll talk more about her and her shop when we get to that point of the show. But
Well,
spinning, you've done some spinning, right?
I have been doing a little bit of spinning. I have been working on the cornmeal from that we bought at Maryland Sheep and Wool last year. I have around 10 ounces to go on spinning that, so I've been working on that a little bit each day. I also have some Hello yarn fiber on the wheel that I took a picture on the shocked reeves. I need to slow my roll on the shocked reeves because I get going so fast, my fingers can't keep up, and then I have like a little bit of an overspun thing going on. So I'm really trying to um, slow my roll on that. I can, because that wheel's in double drive, it is really hard to take the bobbins off. So I'll show you guys the first bobbin when it's done. I have 12 ounce. I bought like a bag, a grab bag, but it's a grab bag in that it was a club colorway that I wasn't in her club then. And it was like little bits and pieces that were
Mm-hmm.
left over,
Yeah.
all the same colorway. So it's Dormant is the colorway. It is a Portuguese merino, which I'm not certain I've spun before. I may have once. So I'm enjoying spinning it. It's just like I'm spinning it knit night at my house. I have Wednesday nights. I have people over and we do knit night. And I sit at the wheel and I get 3 hours of only interrupted by me looking stuff up on the internet.
So you get an hour and a half of
No,
spinning.
no, no. I make Eloise look most of the things. So Eloise and I are going to go with Jamie, and those are two other people in my knit group. We're going to go see Greg Isles this week. He's doing a book signing down in Hernando.
Who's that?
He's like a mystery author.
Hmm.
He wrote Natchez Burning, which I have not read. Weezy's a fan, so I might buy a book and get it signed for
That'd be
the
fun.
Weezer.
Yeah, a nice gift.
But he told me not to, but I probably will anyways for Father's Day. So whatever. But yeah, and I'm gonna start reading one of his books. Jamie loaned me one of his books. It's like he's kind of like a John Grisham
Yeah.
author. So which I enjoy. I just
Yeah, my
it's
mother-in-law gave
weird.
me a
Like I
John
look at that
Grisham.
paperback. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying my mother-in-law gave me a John Grisham back at Christmas because she had read it, and so she
Uh-huh.
passed it on to me, and I haven't even opened it yet because it's something I'll read at some point. I just haven't been in the mood for that sort of fiction.
If it's not a kid's book, I don't want to read it in paperback. How terrible is that? I want it on my device, on my
Hmm.
Kindle. I'm obsessed with my Kindle, like to the point where it goes everywhere with me. Like it's my security blanket.
Well, it only weighs like 8 ounces or something, right?
Yeah, it's super light and it's backlit and it's amazing. Leslie got it for me for my birthday last year after I destroyed my Kindle before that. So.
Well, but you'd had that other one for years and years.
No, just a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wrecked it by reading on it too much. And the one before that I had for years and years, and it was the old one with the keyboard and the toggle switch.
Yeah.
And it still works, but the toggle switch is broken off. So it makes it sharp and pointy.
Dangerous to use.
Yeah. So in the interim between my two awesome 3G Kindles, I gotten like the cheapest Kindle with the ads at the bottom that you could possibly get for like $50, and that's the one that only lasted a year.
Hmm.
So I read on it for hours every day, so it's not like it's
Yeah.
not getting a workout. I use it more actually than my laptops. So whatever.
Yeah, I use my tablet for several hours a day, and it's almost always for reading.
Like
So
I would be more willing to lose my phone than I would my Kindle. It's
I
ridiculousness.
probably wouldn't do that.
Back to so spinning. I've just been spinning some korma, some hello yarn. Oh, what I'm gonna spin next is I have some bats from Wool Pierogi, and the fat squirrel Amy Beth is doing a gratitude cal, and I have lots of things to be appreciative of in my life. So I'm going to
So
participate in
talk
this.
about the gratitude cow a
Okay.
little.
So the gratitude cal is I made that sound like
Cal
cow.
is knit along, but I think it's all sorts of crafts. I don't think it
She's
has to be
doing
knitting.
spin along too.
Okay.
And Amy Beth is the hostess of the Fat Squirrel Speaks, which is one of my favorite podcasts, which I watch all the time on my TV. I stream it through my Roku, and she is hilarious and an overall enjoyable person. And every spring, what she does is she does a cow. It's called the Gratitude Knit Along, and it has to be something for you.
Mm-hmm.
And as you knit on it, you kind of meditate about the things that you are thankful for. So I have a lot to be thankful for in this past year. And so I'm going to participate by spinning. I'm going to spin this on the sidekick. It is a wool pierogi bat. It is called Bet. Let me pull it out. It's number 11, Betatex. Betatas. And it is that brown is a Morit Shetland. And there's a whole lot of in it.
Yeah.
So what she does is she as she makes bats, she just and cleans her carder. She just takes everything she cleans and like throws it in a bin.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she makes these, she picks out one base and then she just throws all that random stuff in there. So there's a lot of sparkle and it looks like there's some soy silk in there. Can't see where I'm pointing.
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
And it's just awesomeness all thrown into this, and it's 3.3 ounces. So, and it's soft and fluffy, and I love it. And when Becca's bats are always awesome, but sometimes when you unfold them, there's like even more. Oh, see,
It's like
there's
a
even
hidden
more
surprise.
awesomeness in there. So I'll just strip it down. I can probably even open it. Oh, there we go. And I can just pull that into strips all the way down, and I'm just gonna spin it on the sidekick, and it will be awesomeness. And it's so fluffy. I cannot wait till SSK when I can buy all her things. So, because I'm down to like 3 of her bats left, and that is a shame. So, that is a travesty. So I must get more. So that is what will be on the wheel next for the Gratitude Cal by the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Did you already talk about your spinning? I don't feel like
I did, but I brought some to show.
okay.
And
So your Romney fleece.
yes, my husband has decided that now is the time to vacuum the stairs that lead
You
down
can
here.
call him husband.
So, yeah, it's one of the many names I have for him. So I talked last week about the picker that I got, the Fainting Maiden from the Woolery. And so after you pick the wool, you can spin from that, I suppose, but for my own sanity, I card it after that.
Yeah,
and
that's how you get the bats.
Mm-hmm. And I have a fancy kitten something carder. We've talked about it before. I can't remember what it's called.
Kitty drum carder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just called the kitten. They've got
Yes.
different ones. I think mine's just called the kitten.
Dude, how awesome would it be if they had one called like Tomcat?
The Maine Coon. So anyway, after you've got the little, everything has run through the picker, then you have to card it. And when I card mine, I typically card them 3 times. If it's coming from a fleece, if I'm blending something, I probably wouldn't do it 3 times because it would already...
How much you want it blended.
Yeah, and how aligned you want things to be.
And when you blend color, the more times you run it through, the muddier it gets.
Right, that's absolutely true. And if you're layering it, you have to be careful about blending afterwards. So if you're layering colors. Anyway, I'm not doing any of that. I just run it through 3 times because after 3 times, it's beautiful. And so I just wanted to show you guys an example of this is probably a little over 2 ounces. And there are 5 pounds in the fleece. So I have to do 8 times per pound. So I have to do this 40 times at 3 cards per bat. So anyway, it looks all beautiful and fluffy and happy, and all the fibers are lined up, and
they're not really lined up. They're because it's
they're layered really well, but like you can see through. But even after 3 cards, 3 times through the carder, you're still going to occasionally get the little bit of veg matter, like that's a little bit of grass right there, which will come out as you're spinning it. I mean, you could.
Romney is a pretty long fiber. If you had a fine fleece like CVM, the more times you card it, the more likely you are to get nips. The little like balls of fiber that form.
So the finer the fiber, the more likely it is for that to happen? Okay. I like Romney. I don't know that I'll process a full merino. Not because I don't like merino. I really love processing the longer wools. It just makes me happy.
We should look for BFL when we're there this time.
I make Michael smell these every time they come off the carder. I'm like, smell it! It smells like wool!
I'm sure he loves that.
Yeah, it's gotten old, let me tell you.
So I think we should look for BFL. What else should we look for? Cordell?
I have a Cordell cross. So if you want Cordell, then yes, but I already have a Cordell.
What else should we look for?
I don't have a CVM. But if that's a finer fleece, then maybe I don't need it.
I have like a 5-pounder that we can split if you want.
Yeah.
Or I can send you like a pound so you can try.
I don't know. I should look that up and we should talk about it next week because we have one more week before Maryland.
We do.
So.
We've got that awesome Beth Smith book that we can look through and really think about things. Also, CVMs are more likely to be at Estes from what I've read.
Oh, that's true. God, I have 3 events that I can buy fleece at this year. That is a bad thing.
I think it's an awesome thing.
Oh, God.
And I'm getting paid right before one. Oh, I have news that I haven't shared yet. I'm adding that to favorite things. Yes.
What the hell? You have to talk about it now.
No, I don't. I'm teaching at the Loop U.
Yay!
I did. So I am, I'll have to link it. So I am teaching an edgings class, like edgings on shawls, using the Alice Elizabeth pattern at the Loop U right before Estes.
That is so fancy. It's like you're a real designer.
It's not even a design. It's like I'm a real person. Like in the knitting world. I know, like, oh man, we were talking about this the other day. When we went to the spring fling for the first time, there's no way that I could have imagined that I'd be teaching there because famous people teach at the Loop U.
That is a fact.
I'm so excited. So, like, oh, I have so much respect for Sherry in that store. Like, that is my dream store. So, I'm super excited.
Oh, I'm going to be doing some damage in the fabric section of that, I can tell you.
I know. And we'll be there for knit night.
Yes, that's the Thursday before Estes. I think it's like the 7th or 8th of June.
And my class will be over like a half hour before knit night ends, so I'll still get to spend some time with people, which I'm super excited about too. And we'll be hanging out in the store probably all that day.
Do you think that there's enough to keep us entertained?
I don't know. We'll be like, hey Lynn, hey Lynn, hey Lynn, hey Lynn. Poor Lynn.
And Lynn is Lynn Zim on Ravelry. She's a friend of ours, and she is the manager, I guess, of the Loopy U. Sherry is the owner, and she's under Sherry. So
she's the chaos wrangler of the Loopy U.
She's the cat herder.
The feral cat herder. Oh, our illusions are getting out of control. So, you have sewing.
I do. Okay, so I'll save what I consider the best for last. I talked last week about this value quilt.
So pretty.
And that's lights and darks. That's why it's considered value. So I put the binding on.
Yeah, you did the binding, right?
Well, I attached it to the front by machine, and then hand sewed it on the back. So there's no stitching line for the binding, which I guess that's the way that makes it like when you enter it into some sort of competition, that's expected. Like that makes it bumps it up a notch in like
Oh,
quality or whatever. I don't really know much about quilting, so this is just what I've gathered. Feel free to correct me. I won't be offended. So I did hand stitch, and it took 3 days. And this is a baby quilt, so I don't know that it's worth it for me to do hand stitching again. We shall see. I'm going to watch a few videos on machine stitching it down on both sides and just sort of see how I like it, because I have another quilt I have to bind very shortly. So I don't know this is just going to go in the gift bucket. I don't know who it's going to go to yet.
to
So
put in the gift bucket.
yeah, it's a good one to be able to pull out and go like, oh yeah, I knew that
And
was happening.
it's very gender neutral too,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I liked that too. So
it's perfect. So what
um,
else have you done?
I have a friend who's having a baby, and her baby shower is very soon. And I was gonna make a quilt, but she has some friends that already made a quilt, and it's beautiful, and it has a lot of thought behind it. And I don't want to just jump in and try to,
Yeah. No, that's totally
step on
understandable.
that. They've already done that. So what I decided to do was, I have a Pinterest. I have a lot of Pinterest boards, but one of them is sewing for kids and babies, and so that's where I pin like patterns or tutorials for items for kids or babies or children or toddlers or those little people. Uh, and so I went through there after I knew that I wasn't going to do a quilt. I just started scrolling through to try to find something that would work for her. She's having a girl,
But she
and
wants stuff gender neutral kind of because
yeah,
um
their colors
they
are like orange
want to
and
have at least two.
gray. Yeah, so they want to be able to reuse them essentially,
Yeah.
which is totally
Totally
smart.
understand.
So I found, and I've linked it in the show notes, it's a pattern called Perfect Diaper Covers, and it's at danamadeit.com. Again, I've linked it in the show notes. But once I got the hang of it, it took maybe 30 minutes total for each one, but I did them in sort of a assembly line fashion. So this is, I made a couple that were in the 12-month size. There's this one, which is the same inside fabric as Laura's. Um,
That is the most adorable thing
okay.
ever.
Oh no, they get much more adorable. And then I got this turtle fabric. I got this when I was in California with Megan, Crafty Pancakes. We went fabric
Yeah.
shopping. So that's another 12 months. And when you first cut it out, they look like huge panties, like big enough to fit me. And I'm like, but then the elastic gathers everything in. So, but I was like, I don't know.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then the rest I did in the 6 to 12 month size, because I figure if they're a little big, it'll fit them longer and get more use out of them.
Yeah.
So there's little birds,
Oh, that's super cute.
and this is the only really girly one that I did.
But it's bunting, and bunting is awesome. And
Yeah, I just happened to find this fabric
stuff in there too.
at Joann's, and then my favorite is the little lambs.
Oh,
They're little frolicking baby lambs. They made me
so
happy. So,
cute.
if I had brought out my serger and set it up, it would have gone faster because I had to zigzag the edges since I didn't bring my serger out. But I would say once you've got the fabric cut, it takes about a half an hour, and you sew elastic in and you turn the ends over and everything. It didn't take very long. At least for me, I felt like that was perfectly fine for a baby gift. And I'm going to sew one of those 1 hour baskets and put them in there
Yeah.
along with, maybe a burp cloth or something. So this is
Super.
going to a friend for baby shower.
Those that reusable paper, the paper towels that you do.
The unpaper
That would-
towels.
Yeah, that would be good too.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I could use them as burp cloths and stuff too.
Yeah. Babies make messes.
Mm.
So I hear. That's
Babies
the word
are messes. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about sewing related is not something that I did, but you guys, if you've been watching, then you know that I have no desire to long arm quilt, especially or do any heavy quilting on my small machine. It's totally doable. I just have no desire to do it.
Yeah.
So I asked about anyone who wanted to barter, because a lot of people that knit have other hobbies. And so, anyway, I have a couple of folks that I'm working with, but the first lady that I worked with has a website called Miss Marker's Quilts, and I've linked it in the show notes. And I sent her Laura's quilt that I had done the top and I made the top and the backing, and sent it to her just before the wedding, and I got it back today. So
Wow.
I got it was a 2-week turnaround at most, and she did a fantastic job, and I'm so happy about it. And I want to show you guys, but I also want to say if you're looking for a long arm quilter, she does like mail away service, so you could look her up. She's linked in the show notes, and she put in wool felt, so you'll be nice and warm.
You mean Humberto will be nice?
Humberto will be nice and warm. So she did this beautiful scrolled
that's
circular
gorgeous.
design, and it's all over. When you pull it back, it's a little bit harder to see though, but it's all over the quilt and the backing, so I have to trim it down and then add the binding to the side. But it's so gorgeous. I didn't give her any direction on quilting, but I think she picked a really nice one because it's got the swirls, which sort of references the swirled library books here. So this isn't the best position for me to show you guys this, but I'm so happy with it. It looks so good.
So good. I'm so excited.
And the thread color matches the sashing.
Yeah.
It looks so nice. She
What's
did
the
such a
back
great
look
job. It's just a solid,
Oh, cool.
this fabric.
Perfect.
So
I like dark solid backs.
they
'Cause
had
I have a
cat
cat.
vomit.
He's a jerk.
But it's so nice, and it's markedly warmer with the wool felt versus the cotton batting.
Because I'm always cold.
So I'm really, really happy with it. I think she did a fantastic job. And so this week I'll cut it to shape and try to figure out what sort of binding I want to put on it, because I have to pick colors and all that.
Fun.
So I'm so excited.
Yay.
And the lady's name is MissMarkersQuilts.com if you're looking for someone to send your long arm stuff to. I'll definitely will use her again. Absolutely. I will ply her with all the hand knit socks.
There you go.
So anyway, so that's my sewing stuff.
Cool.
Hopefully you care about sewing.
We have a question from Kismet that says, how do you spin bats, particularly into the world? I've been holding a Captain Tight Pants bat for I don't know how to begin. I don't want a gradient, rather some barber pole goodness. Thanks much, virtual girlfriends. So Leslie has.
I would hold me some Captain Tight Pants if I could.
Wow, I have a sweater's worth of Captain Tight Pants in the stash.
Oh my gosh, that doesn't surprise me.
When it was a club colorway, and the day that it arrived at my house, I got on her website and ordered a whole sweater's worth. So I totally need to spin that up. But Captain Tight Pants, when Chris does bats, they have like long color. Like Leslie was talking about placement of color.
Mm-hmm.
She places. You have one of these.
I'll
bats.
show you. So
this is a different colorway.
Yeah, this is. I don't have the Captain Tight Pants bat, but I'll show you guys. This is the way her bats come. And this isn't particular to Into the World. The lady asked about that brand, so that's the one I'll show.
And Leslie happened to have one, so.
Yes. One. So this is what it looks like when it's rolled up like a cinnamon roll. This is the Vampires of Venice colorway, and it's in the Falkland wool. So let me unroll it and I'll show you. So, like we mentioned, this is layered color. This, I don't know how she puts it all together. I guess she just must softly layer it together and then roll it. Anyway, so each color is slightly layered and then muddied into the next one and into the next one. Because you can tell based on the way that the fiber is laying that it was combed this way or carded this way on the wheel. So, or carder rather.
Which is basically a big wheel.
Yeah, with scary teeth.
So,
so each section she would have carded, like you can see where it's trying to separate here.
Yeah.
She would have carded it, and then when she laid it out, she would have somehow blended that together. I don't know the magic that she does, but it depends on what you want. If you wanted to keep the colors together, then you would start at one end and you would strip it.
And I did that before. So if you want to barber pole it, and you could Navajo ply that or leave it as singles, but if you want to barber pole it, you could still rip it into strips, but make the strips, then rip those strips into smaller strips and divide them evenly. So like I would, let's say I have a pink section, I would do the pink section into two strips. I would spin one whole strip on one bobbin and then move on to my next color and then my next color and then my next color. And on the other bobbin, I would basically fractal it. I would take that strip of pink that I had, divide it into two little strips,
down the
spin
center.
the first pink, and then do shorter repeats. If you want it to be a true fractal, you would thirds it, that strip. But do smaller repeats, and then that'll give you barber pulley goodness. Other ways to spin bats, you can just spin off the bat all the way across. You can, like we said, tear into strips. You can tear it into little bits and spin it from the fold.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people do spinning from the fold.
Spinning bats. I love spinning from the fold. I love taking my roving and making it more woolen by spinning.
I've practiced spinning from the fold in classes and stuff, but I don't think I've ever spun anything intentionally from the fold.
Almost every single thing I did for what's that spinning competition we do?
Spinzilla.
Spinzilla.
Where we come in twice.
Look, the sign-ups are coming up soon, so we'll have to discuss that.
I can just picture my phone dinging and Laura going, "Better not be sleeping. You better be spinning." Because that nap.
You did take that nap. I took a nap one day too. It's not like I can really complain.
But if I hadn't, we could have won.
Well, it's
not just me. I'm not saying like I'm the linchpin, but I'm just saying. Anyway,
if everyone had spun 10 more yards, we could have won. Whatever.
So you're saying it's everybody else's fault, yeah?
It's everyone's fault collectively because we're a team. If we want to be a team of winners, we have to band together and do better. I'm not at all competitive about this.
Don't put any pressure on like Vicky. Vicky, I don't think slept during Spinzilla.
Vicky did awesome. I take blame somewhat because if I remember I forgot that it was that week and I hadn't emptied any bobbins.
Yeah.
And so I was just spinning on 3 bobbins over and over and over again. If I had emptied bobbins, or like prep the fiber, because when you spin from the fold, you're doing little chunks.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I had
we'll get it this year.
Yeah.
Dang it.
It'll happen. We should go visit Fancy Tiger and take a picture with him.
Oh, no, we planned to visit. We're visiting Fancy Tiger when we're in Colorado. That's happening.
That's fine with me. They make their own Romney yarn, so I'm excited.
Well, they have lots of pretty fabric, too. So.
Yes, they
I'll
do,
spend money at Loopy U, that's no question, but it'll be nice to get a picture of us, like...
almost like second place.
Yeah. Sad face.
The golden nitty naughty. That's going to happen. So I think we totally got off track with the bat question, but that's how, if I wanted maximum barber pulliness, I would tear it into strips and then split those strips by color and then split them into smaller chunks.
What if you just split the bat in half and then spun one half from one end down and the other from the other end down?
You could totally do that. The colors would never meet.
Right.
If you did it that way.
It would constantly be a barber pole, I guess.
I like fractals, but that's just my thing.
I just like doing whatever. I don't like having to follow a plan. So
I haven't spun fractal in a while. I need to do that again. Maybe my next Hello Yarn that I spin, I'll spin fractal.
So we have a book review.
We do. It is an ebook that is available on Ravelry. It is called Socks for Jeans.
Yes.
By Deborah
Tomasello. And it's only $8, and you get 7 Fair Isle patterns. Some of them even have pockets knit into the socks, and lots of tips and tricks about Fair Isle.
So what I love about Deborah is in the intro, this is her obsession.
Yeah.
Like, she just wants to do color work. And I can totally appreciate following a pattern by someone who's obsessed with something. Because those are the type of patterns I want to follow. Because obsessed people tend to do it best.
And I really appreciate when people don't take themselves too seriously. And so in the introduction, this is the first couple sentences of the introduction. eons ago, when the Earth was learning to revolve around the sun and I was a kid, we watched black and white TV. You've heard the stories. It's true. No color. And then she talks about, color and how it relates to the knitting. And I don't know, I appreciate people who have, can be self-deprecating and
Yep.
do it in a funny way. So she
And
talks
then
about.
she's okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting today.
No, you're fine.
She talks
I think
about
I'm interrupting.
color dominance
Yes, and
and
in a very understandable and relatable way.
and so
So
she's knit
I really appreciate that.
this motif. The same motif is on the top and the bottom, but she held one yarn as the dominant yarn in one motif and one yarn is the dominant yarn in the other motif, and you can see what a difference it makes in how clear the motif comes out.
And I love how she shows the back of that
hmm
work too, so you can totally see it. I think even more so on the back.
I agree. It's very pronounced, and it's all about. And she talks about how yarn dominance. It's all about where the yarn lays in the back, which I won't. I won't go through because it's worth the price of the book to learn
Oh yeah.
about yarn dominance.
She has helpful tutorials to reading colorwork charts,
hmm
floating intention, and then she goes through the pattern. So all 7 of these patterns are stranded colorwork socks.
hmm
They were published obviously as socks for jeans. They're all out of Regia,
hmm
and they all feature the sweet tomato heel. She likes using a heel without flaps or gussets because they disrupt the color work. So she
Right.
says you can put in, like if you wanted to put in any short row heel, that would be fine. But she really prefers the sweet tomato heel, which is a great short row heel.
And
She
she also
goes,
talks about the 3 different methods for holding yarn, or the 3 most popular methods for holding yarn. You can hold both in your left hand if you're a continental picker. You can hold one in each hand, or you can hold them both in your right hand with one of those little yarn guides, and do it that way. So she does discuss each one at length. So,
curious, how do you hold yours?
well, right now I hold them one in each hand, with the dominant yarn being in my right hand because I knit that tighter. Although, actually, I think it needs to be reversed the other way, I think.
No, mine goes in my left because that's the one that's closer to the work.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done Fair Isle, so I'll have to go back and look. Um,
I just did all those baby hats. So that's why it's on my brain.
if the yarn that I hold in my right hand gets pulled tighter than the yarn, so it recedes to the back, I guess, more. So I guess the dominant yarn would be in the left hand
Yeah.
for me. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about these socks.
So there's 7 awesome patterns. The first one is Denim Dreams. Like I said, they all use Regia. You want to use mainly solids or semi-solids with color work. It just shows up a lot better. Although sometimes you can get very striking effects with a variegated and then like a black or
Yeah.
something like that.
Or a solid and a self-striping as the filler color. A self-striping is a great way to do that as well.
There are, I thought there were 2 sizes. Yep. There's size 2 for medium and large and small. So there are different sizes of the patterns. So you're casting on, 2 different sizes. Either 6
And gauge is important in Fair Isle socks. I know this personally. Because you're not going to knit at the same gauge as you knit a regular stockinette in the round sock. You really have to swatch to get gauge on these socks.
There are nice clear charts in this. I'm not going to show it to you because that's the secret sauce. But then there's the second pattern, which is Fiesta.
Yes, which looks plaid almost.
It's very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It does look kind of flattish. So
And I love that. I actually really like that it's a digital book because with the charts, you can zoom in and really get close and mark them as you go if you use one of those programs. So I like Casual Fridays. I think it's got enough interest that it's not overwhelming. And I think it would be a good one to start with because it would be harder to see any color jogs in this simple
there you go.
motif.
And she's got little stitching on the heels on that one that
Yeah.
she goes into detail on how to do that technique as well. The ripple effect is super cute, and it's got that little mini pocket.
Yeah,
So like those days that I'm wearing dress pants that I don't have room for money for the soda machine, that would be totally useful.
you totally need socks with pockets.
So to hold my little gold ring, one ring to rule them all. Um,
This next pattern also has a pocket.
yes.
And she's got three different styles of pocket, and she tells you how to put them in any pattern. This one is chocolate parfait, and this has got the little pocket right up by the ribbing. Little
Yep.
teeny tiny pocket.
A little secret pocket. And then there is that Love and Feeling, which actually has hearts on the bottom. And then I think those are
Those
pockets
are
with
pockets
bags.
on the back, yeah.
Yes. Although, and you can do the socks with or without the
Yeah,
pockets.
you don't have to.
Most of these socks are worked from the top down, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, it is worked from the top down. That Love and Feeling has little hearts on the bottom of the feet.
So cute.
I really like that detail. I think that's adorable.
And then there's Spring is in the Air,
Yep.
which has like almost little tulips and more pockets.
And she
It.
links lots of great videos for how to do certain things, like the heels and um, how to hold the yarn and all that.
And this is actually, she's written several books, including Wrapped in Color, Stranded Knitting in the 21st Century, and then Knitting 20th Century Arts. So she's got lots and lots of stuff, and she has a group on Ravelry,
Yep,
which
with
is
over
colorless
3,000
knitting.
members.
Yep. So lots of cool things. Thank you so much, Debbie, for contacting us and allowing us to review this book. This book is self-published on Ravelry. It's $8.
$8. That's the
Yeah,
price
like
of one pattern.
seriously, you get 7 crazy socks patterns that are like,
And
and I'm
lots of
crazy and
knowledge, like informational things you can take to other patterns.
oh yeah, like crazy awesome with pockets. I don't know why you're not buying this book right now. It's so much fun. I totally want to cast one of these on.
You just want to say pockets is over and over.
I do. And then I want to put things in there. That's why I have these kangaroo shoes because they're so much fun. Leslie hates. I had to throw a pair out. They had died. It made me so
They're
sad.
just so ugly.
I love them so much.
But if they make you happy, then rock on.
I wear them to work all the time. I don't think they made them like they were super popular in the 80s and then they made a comeback and I think they're gone again, but I don't care. I love them so
Darn.
much. Anyway, this is Socks for Jeans by Deborah Tomasello, and it is $8 on Ravelry, and we've
Yep.
linked it in the show notes. Thank you so much, Deborah, for contacting us. Super cool. I love it. So what we are reading, what are you reading, my dear?
I've read a lot this week. You can tell by the lack of knitting. Um, I read 3 of the 4 books in the Shadow Quest series by Kirsten Fay. That's sort of a paranormal romance set in space.
To check that out. Was it
It's
good?
got demons and fairies and um, like the alien bad guys and all that. It was alright. Yeah, the first 3 books were pretty good. The 4th is a retelling through another point of view, which I had no interest in, so I didn't read it. The next one that I read was called The Winter's Curse, which is also sort of fantasy, sword and sorcery kind of book. It was alright. I won't read the next ones. It wasn't enough to get me to read the rest in the series. Then I read The Scribe, which was written by an author that I liked. I'd read some other of her books, and it was urban fantasy. Didn't really do anything. And then
Keep opening your links and sending free trials to my Kindle because I'm obsessed.
to like download the first couple
Yeah,
chapters or whatever.
the first chapter, the
Yeah.
free trials.
And then Entreat Me, which I really liked. It was written by the same author, Grace Davrin, who wrote Master of Crows, which I read a couple weeks ago. I like her, so I like favorited her, so it'll notify me when she publishes any more books on Amazon, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I finished that this morning and started a new one called something about Foreverland. I'll link it next week. And I'm listening to Princeps Fury, which is the 5th book in the Alexa Kodera No, not Alexa. I don't know.
Jim
Jim
Butcher.
Butcher. I linked it in the show notes. I like it. So I am still listening to that series. So I
Cool.
read a lot this week.
I put my Audible membership on hold because I need to catch up. And I love that you can do that. Once you have no credits, you can put it on hold for 3 months. So that's cool. I have read Skink No Surrender. It's a book by Carl Hyacin. I actually have a copy to give away, so I will give. We'll do. We will. It is a YA book. Let me tell about the book, and then I'll tell you what you have to do to win it. So I got this. It's an advanced reader copy or ARC that I got at IRA a couple years ago, last year. And if you are familiar with Carl Hyacin's adult books, he first introduced the character of Skink
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago in Double Whammy. I've never read his adult books, so now I'm like, this book really got me interested in reading some of his adult stuff. I've only ever read his kid stuff, and this is his first like YA officially, although I kind of consider Hoot more.
Now, is Skink the like former mayor that lives in the
Yeah,
swamps?
he's the former governor that lives in the
Yeah,
swamps
I listened to a
with
book.
one eye.
Yeah, and it had Skink in it. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with that series.
So basically, the main character, the protagonist's name is Richard, and his father was killed in a freak skateboarding accident. And he's really good friends with his cousin Mallory, who gets into a bit of trouble, and her parents are sending her off to boarding school. And she just disappears one day. So Richard goes looking for her, and she calls and says, I've gone up to go to boarding school a couple weeks early. And he contacts the school, and they're like, no, we don't have early admissions. So it boils down to she met some guy in a chat room, and
Ah,
she took off with him.
always good things happen.
Yes, so it's action adventure trying to get her back from this guy who's lied about his name, his age, and taken off with her. And Richard actually runs into Skink. Skink is on the beach, and he makes himself look like a turtle egg nest and has the like caution tape around it because there's this guy trying to steal turtle eggs. So he's got a straw that he can breathe through so he can catch the guy. And that's how Richard first meets him is he's like, why is there a straw sticking out of this
That is a
turtle egg?
personal. That's a perfectly reasonable question, Richard.
Yeah, so and it's filled with really interesting characters. And because I've already read it and my library has 3 copies of this book, I'm going to pass the ARC along to one of you. So in our Ravelry group, we will have a thread, and all you have to do is go in there and tell me the best book, YA or kids book that you've read lately.
Ooh, that's good. That'll give me all kinds of fodder for my.
No.
I have
And
spent more money with Amazon in the past 2 months. It is ridiculous. And I'm a member of that Kindle Unlimited. But
oh, really?
a lot of the book, because I've been reading so much, I feel like $10 a month is worth it for
Yeah.
me. But I've almost exhausted the books in the categories that I like, so I may have to
Yeah, that's
cancel the
why I'm
membership.
not a member of the Kindle Unlimited. So the second book I read is amazing. It is called Rain Rain by Anne Martin. I really picked it up because I am trying to buy more books from my library that include minorities.
Hmm.
And I have fallen in like Anne Martin, Babysitter Club.
Ah,
You gotta
okay.
love her. You gotta love her. And she's written some really good non-Babysitter Club books over the years. And this new one, the cover is just eye-catching. It's a girl in the rain with her dog. And it is the main character has Asperger's, and she and her father live in a house together. And one day he brings home a dog and says, I found this dog. And her father drinks quite a bit.
Hmm.
I found this dog. This is my present to you. And this is the first time she's ever gotten a present from her father.
Oh, that's
And
depressing. Okay.
it's not a super happy book. It's definitely dealing with some pretty heavy issues. And the little girl with Asperger's is obsessed with homophones. And so she names the dog Rain Rain. And there's a lot of homophones listed in the book. She's got an uncle who actually really understands her and spends time with her, and he helps her list her homophones. But she has, because they don't have a computer, because they're poor, because their father drinks away all the money. she has a list, a handwritten list, and anytime she comes up with a pair of homophones, she has to rewrite the whole
Oh
list.
my gosh.
And if she gets it wrong, she has a breakdown. And it's, if you've ever worked with or been around a kid with Asperger's, it's very realistically written.
Oh yeah, it's.
So there is a hurricane, and her father lets the dog out,
Mm.
and to let her go to the bathroom, and she does not come back.
Yeah, you don't disrupt an Asperger child's schedule. Like, you
No,
really have to stick to the things that
and she
keep.
actually does really well. And she goes and she is looking, and her uncle helps her look for the dog. And it's a real, the dog does not die. That's what Barry was
Okay,
like.
that's good.
Please tell me the dog doesn't die. The dog doesn't die, but it's definitely a really good book. It's one that if I had a kid, I would like to read with them. It would be a great read aloud book. The homophones drive me a little bit crazy in it. Like, I get the fact that she loves homophones, but after the 500th homophone, I'm like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, but at the same
Can't leave,
time, a kid with
yeah,
Asperger's, that's what you're going to get. I
yeah, you
mean,
can't leave that character trait behind. So,
yeah.
but it's like I've heard people say it's good on Audible, but I don't know with the homophones for me.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
It's definitely one that I would read together as a family. There's a lot that you can discuss, and it's heavy, so you would need to discuss some of the things. But it's a great, great book. I don't know how it didn't win the Newbery. Like, it is amazingly good. So that is one I highly recommend. Skink No Surrender is definitely like 13, 14 and up. Rain, 8 or 9 years old and up. But definitely be prepared to have conversations.
I fully support that, though. I really think that those sort of
Yeah.
conversations should happen at home rather
Oh
than
yeah,
at
definitely.
school.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally. That's why. I mean, your kids could read it on their own too, but I would. It's definitely a book that you can converse with, just like that Nisha and Draper that I read, about the KKK.
hmm
I think it was in last week's show notes.
Yeah.
Stella by Starlight. That would be another great one to have conversations about. Rain is it's modern fiction. It's not historical at all, so it's really really good. And then I listened to The 14th Goldfish by Jennifer Holm, which is a super fast, super good on Audible version. It is another kid's book because that's what I do. And it is only like 3 or 4 hours long. And I love Jennifer Holm. She's got a book called Middle School is Worse Than Meatloaf. That it's a picture that's it's a story told through pictures, which is amazing. It's a really really good book. And this one is really good. It's great for reluctant readers. I would say ages 8 and up. Definitely more like my sixth grade's probably where it would top out. Maybe less mature seventh and eighth graders, but it's about a girl whose father and mother are divorced. Mom works in theater industry, and one day she comes home with this boy who's her grandfather, who's a scientist, who's found a way to develop like a thing from jellyfish that makes him young again.
Hmm.
And it's really the relationship between the grandfather, who's now 13, and the mother. And it's a grandfather who's got like 3 PhDs, considers himself like the next Einstein, and the mother who's in theater. So, but there's a lot of interesting scientific discussions that take place in the book. So, if you're trying to get a kid who is interested in science reading, it's a great one. If you are trying to get a kid who loves reading but maybe doesn't love science so much into reading, it's a great one as well. And she's got a great, Jennifer Holmes got a great, funny voice to herself. Another good one, if you have a kid who's super into Diary of a Wimpy Kid, this would be one that I would try to throw their way as well because it's fairly short too. I mean, it's like a 3 hour audiobook.
Hmm.
So very, very short and very funny and good. It's called 14th Goldfish because her goldfish, like, she thinks it never dies, but really her mom's just
Oh.
replacing it over and over again. And they're like on goldfish number 14. She's like, my goldfishes, it never dies. It's a scientific miracle. And her mom's like, or. But that's where the title comes from. So it's really, really interesting. So 3 really good kids books this week, which is awesome. I do love some good kids books, especially ones that have minorities in them.
Kobe's on the fourth in the Aragon series. He started that less than a month ago, and he's on the
It's
fourth
really
one,
fast. So like,
Inheritance. Yeah, they're like 700, 800 pages, some of them. So, and I haven't even read the last one, but I had to
I'm
order it from
such a huge
Amazon.
fan of Lord of the Rings, and it's just such a Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
ripoff.
but he read that robot book that you got him while he was waiting on Inheritance to come in. So
Ooh, it's the James Patterson. I don't know how James Patterson. Well, I do know how James Patterson is writing so many books so quickly. But
little army of minions.
yeah, he's come out with like 7 or 8 books in the last like 6 months, I swear, and that was one of his, which I don't even know the title. I was wandering through Walmart and I gotten Kobe I Funny and I Funnier before, and he
Mm-hmm.
liked it, and I was like, I like that too. They're all the same. Not that there's anything bad about that, because how many Nancy Drews and
Oh
Hardy books
yeah,
I read over and Baby
Babysitters Club and
over and over and over again. Sweet Valley High, Sweet Valley Twins.
I think I
Uh,
read every R.L. Stein book when I was in
oh
sixth and seventh grade.
yes.
So
Did you read Christopher Pike, who's so much like R.L.
I
Stein?
don't think so.
Christopher Pike too is good.
Okay, I think we've gotten a little off topic.
Of
Um,
course. Favorite things? We have a giveaway. In addition to the Skink No Surrender, we have a skein of Marigold Jen, which I really want to keep.
so
Yeah, I
pretty.
can keep it, but I'm giving it away because I would feel so guilty because there's so much yarn around me, and she makes the bestest of yarns. It is in the Sherlock colorway. In her worsted weight yarn, it's 100% merino wool, 218 yards. And have I mentioned it, Sherlock? So pretty.
And I've used that yarn and I really liked it. It's really pretty.
She's got some great stuff. She'll be a booth that we hit up at Maryland Sheep and Wool for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I always spend too much money there.
Thank you, husband. That's very sweet.
Hey, Michael. Um, so we are gonna give this away. I think it should be favorite Knit Girls moment since it's 5 years. What do you
Sure,
think?
it's fine.
I love the favorite Knit Girls moment, and we only do it once a year.
Yeah, you can reuse one you've used before. It's not like
Yeah.
we're going to audit it.
So favorite Knit Girls moment. Boom. There'll be a thread on Ravelry. Feel free to post there. And we'll draw next Sunday. I'll be back next Sunday. Things we have going on, events in the future. I will be at Stitches South next Saturday. I'm going to try to get off work early so I can go on Friday too, because now I'm getting super afraid that the Plucky booth is going to be emptied out on the first day. And I won't get my sweaters worth that I would really want.
Well, most vendors hold back. Like,
I don't know. I'm going to see if my
you
boss...
just really want to get there Friday night.
Well, if I could leave, like, if I could take... So I'm in a bit of a quandary because they forgave all our snow days, but they did not forgive them for teachers. So now we have to add 6 more days on. And they're talking about us going on Saturdays in May and then adding 3 on to the end of the school year, which would have me working both Maryland Sheep and Wool and which will be the event after that, and Vicksburg, where I'm teaching. And I have 1 personal day left, so I could only take one of... If they choose that option where we're working Saturdays and adding days on the end. But my boss is very flexible enough. I'm sure if I said, hey, I can't work Saturday, can I work Monday
Right.
instead? He would probably be, because there's no kids.
Right.
He would probably be chill with that. But I don't want to use, I have that one day and then I have like 4 hours of like PLT or whatever that I could use. So if we'll find out on Tuesday what's going on. So if like we're just adding it on to the end and I just need it for that Friday, I'm totally going to take off early on Friday for Stitches. So anyway, Stitches South. If you see me, come say hi and give me a hug, but not from behind because that creeps me out. Like, don't just grab me from behind. I think it's like, I don't know. It's a teacher thing. I don't like kids approaching me from the back. So we all have our weird things. That's mine. Come and face me, and then we're straight. So come say hi. I will be in a class most of the morning. I don't know what's going on with the meetup. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a podcasters meetup. The people who started the thread kind of bailed on it, and I don't feel like being in charge of it. So if you see me, come say hi. If I decide to be somewhere at a certain time, I'll post it on Instagram or stalk me via Instagram or whatever else. I'll also post on Twitter. I'll definitely be running for the Plucky booth.
So when in doubt.
That's the thing. Saturday, I won't. I'm taking a class in the morning. So excited. Vicky better sit next to me, and Joe on the other side. And but then like I don't get to the market till like noon.
Yeah.
So that's my.
I can see you like.
I'll just send Eloise with a credit card. Like, you really need to. It's funny because I have to be dropped off at like 8 a.m. and I feel bad because market doesn't open till like 10. So they're gonna go hang out at a restaurant somewhere for 2 hours.
Always will be up.
Yeah, they're gonna go hang out and get breakfast. Oh, they should go to Nashville. That would be delicious, but probably way out of the way. Anyway, stitches. Then the next weekend is Maryland Sheep and Wool. We'll be at the meetup there. I think it's noon at the Lower Corral. Noon or one.
I think it's 1.
The Lower Corral by Hobbledehoy and Marigold Jen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ross Farm
down there. And Cooperative Press was down there last year. Oh, excuse me, and a lot of other good, awesome people. And then and we'll be together in 2 weeks.
We will.
I don't know.
You're making me go to the podcaster meetup.
Yep.
So.
I am mean. And then we probably won't record that weekend.
Yeah, it's really hard. Even though we're all together, we have so little time where we're actually together that it's hard for us to record that weekend because we get to Maryland, Sheep and Wool, and everybody sort of goes their separate ways. It's hard to shop in a group of like 8 people. That's just unrealistic. And then we have dinner, and then when we get back, to Jane's or whatever, we really only have a little bit of time Friday night and then a few hours Saturday night.
Yeah. And then Sunday morning we go back to Maryland and we'll be in the state of Maryland the whole time, but we go back to the festival. And then middle of June we'll be at Loopy U and Estes.
Mm-hmm.
And then SSKs in July. We'll be together every month.
Yes. I might actually have to go straight from SSK to North Carolina for work. So we'll have to see how that goes.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I could take, because I'm actually going up to Pennsylvania to Philly the following week, so Kobe can ride with me.
Yeah, we'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
I won't know for sure when I'm going to North Carolina until probably June, so.
Or fly with me, because I was thinking of flying into Baltimore because it's super cheap from Memphis. It's the one place in the world from Memphis. And then getting picked up by the parental units, because I'll have all that stuff in the car, and I'll probably end up having to rent a minivan to get to SSK, because I have a lot of stuff, That's so sad.
So you are teaching at the Loopy U. Can they sign up for your class? Or?
Yeah, you can sign up online. It's on the website under classes. And that is about it. SSK Cal number 2 is going on.
And that's any pattern from any designer who's attending SSK.
Yes. And then, of course, Three Waters Farm sponsored our awesome scholarship this year.
Yes.
And they have a top of the month club that is amazing. Sarah Dina spins, if you follow her on Instagram, spins the most incredible colorways of hers. And I really need to. I have one right here that's sitting going, "Spin me, Laura." It's so pretty.
Oh, that's really happy.
I think I got this at Color Tag. I got this last year at Maryland.
Yeah.
So I should really spin that up. That's about it. Do you have anything else?
I do not. So I think that's it. We have more giveaways in the following weeks. I have stuff hanging that I have to give away, and talk to us about volume. It's constantly a work in progress, so if you think about it, leave a comment in the thread saying who was louder than who or whatever. It's really difficult to perfect it when we're so far from each other, and everything from ambient noise to whether or not Laura's feeling ill or if I don't project my voice enough can affect it. So just let us know.
Sorry, my weather radio is going off. So if you just heard a meh, 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 meh,
I didn't hear anything.
my weather radio, because we're getting thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms.
Awesome. So you go hang out under your blanket with the cat. I'm going to go have dinner, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great week.
Bye, y'all.